The mid-90s, Britpop, cool Britannia. It was a heady time, a simpler time. At the summit of all of that were a group of Manchester lads, two brothers with attitude that were mad for it, with a host of great songs. Oasis were arguably the sound of the 90s, and we're going to count down their greatest songs. But first, I've got their top 10 selling songs in the UK, and we're going to start by going from number 10. So, number 10... Cigarettes and Alcohol, 425,000 units. Number 9, Stand By Me, 430,000. Number 8, Stop Crying Your Heart Out, 450,000. At number, what's that, 7? The number 7, Some Might Say, 475,000. At number 6, Live Forever, 500,000 sales. At number 5, it's Roll With It, 550,000 sales. At number 4 is Whatever, 600,000 sales. At number 3, Do You Know What I Mean? 745,000 sales. And number 2 was Don't Look Back in Anger, 1.8 million sales. And the number 1 selling Oasis single in the UK was, of course, Wonderwall, 2.4 million sales. So there you go. Right, so we're here to count down our top 10 Oasis songs. And the reason this one came along is I was flickering around on TikTok, as you do. And one of our guests, I believe this might be his hat-trick appearance now on the pod. I don't know whether to call him Ollie or whether to call him Paolo. But he was there doing his thing on TikTok. TikTok and Instagram sensation. Hello, Ollie. How you doing?
How are you doing? Perfect. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, not too bad. Thank you much. How's things you're in?
It's all right. You know, it's not been a great start to the year. I won't lie.
Notable absence. This is what the Gallaghers would have wanted. One of the brothers not turning up. You know,
exactly. So. Yes. So Neil is in the audience shouting down abuse while I'm doing it by myself. Yeah. So this all sort of came across because you were doing one of your live streams, and I don't know how we got onto Oasis songs, but I was on the chat with you, weren't I? And all of a sudden we'd worked out, right, okay, we'll do top 10 Oasis songs.
Absolutely.
I can't remember how Oasis came into it.
To be honest, on those streams, I chat all sorts of crap with people. So, I think first and foremost, I'm a massive music fan. So any excuse to talk about music, especially when I'm doing a football stream on TikTok, any excuse to talk about something else for 5 minutes, I'll go into films, music, geography, whatever it may be. And that probably would have been a random tangent on there, I would have thought.
Yeah, something like that. But because the other 2 times you've been on, it's been football based, hasn't it, or sports based? Definitely.
Yeah, so massively into like sports history. Those that know the sort of TikTok, that's kind of what we do, football history in particular. But I've worked at radio stations, community radio stations, done a bit of work at Greatest Hits Radio. I loved your 60s episode you done, Top 10. That was amazing. That was like listening to Smooth Butter.
Oh, Michael Fenton Stevens was just...
what a legend.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we were going to try and get him on because he's going to the West End and going to be in Wicked.
Oh, is he?
So we were trying to get him on before that happened, but he's now into rehearsals for that, so unfortunately. Now, the other thing I got, before we go into the whole TikTok thing of it all, I have to apologise because I must admit I do take the piss out of you every time you're on.
There you go.
Now, because it's obviously whenever we've done it with you, it's always been sports and football, so there was always a chance to just rib you about Aguero and all that stuff. So we're doing Oasis tonight, okay? So there is no need for me to play this.
Aguero!
There's absolutely no need for me to play this. I mean, if I was going to be a real bastard, I could play this.
That's the one they wanted. That is the cherry on the icing on the cake.
That's Jamie Carragher you can hear in the background as Firmino scored the 7th goal against United.
Yeah.
But that's it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I just want to say I've got no need to play those. Okay? So I don't need to play them.
All I need to say in response to that is 115 allegations against him for financial corruption. And Bournemouth beat you 1-0 after that 7-0. Dreading. So
that was true, but we're top of the league. But anyway, we're not talking about sport as much as Oasis are very heavily linked, obviously, with Manchester City,
of course,
who of course won the league that day with that goal by Aguero. So that's it now. I guarantee, Ollie. That's it. Right.
That'll be.
Before we get onto the Oasis, your whole TikTok thing. Now, you do this thing with playing cards and stickers and the Panini albums. Explain exactly what it is you do, and then I'll ask you the questions I need to ask you.
Yeah, so basically it started from our podcast, actually, the Team of Our Lives podcast, which is like a noughties-based football podcast. We completely ripped off Quickly Kevin, if you know that podcast, which we've also been mentioned on, funny enough. And basically did a football podcast all about the noughties. And at the end, we'd done a feature called What's in Your Panini, where we'd open a classic pack of football stickers and try and find people's favourite players and to put them on a scoreboard. Put that onto TikTok, and it's blown up over the last couple of years. 150 thousand followers, and we do live streams every Wednesday and Friday, and we get between 20 and 35,000 people over a few hours just talking football. But it's all football from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and noughties. So what I call the golden era, I guess, before it's become what I think it is now, too commercialized and too much money. There's not enough personalities. It's just it can be a bit tiring and boring to watch. So we reminisce about the good old days through the medium of football stickers, and it's good fun, and it seems to be in capturing an audience of like-minded people. So it's gone mad. I never would have known a few years ago this would be kind of my job, so to speak, and it's going well.
Now explain to me the live streams, because what you do is, now, are you opening packets on behalf of other people? Because I know
right. Yeah,
you do that where you say, you have a wonderful way with words when you find a really good card. I do stress it's not safe for work, but and we'll have to find out where some of these sayings come from. They're just straight off the top of your head. They're just straight off the top of your head. Yeah.
No, they're not, unfortunately, if they were rehearsed, I think give me an Oscar for writing, I guess.
But yeah, so do people pay for the cards, and then, or do you buy the cards?
A bit of both, really. So we've specialised in, obviously, the modern cards go for a lot of money, and you can find autographs of certain players and stuff. But we've kind of found a niche for ourselves by specialising in the classic football stuff. So we buy them in bulk and then sell the packs individually. And some of them are worth a small fortune, as I probably told you before. The Pele from 1958 is sold for 1.3 million. The Maradona for over $500,000. Early Messi and Ronaldo stickers can go for between £2,000 and £5,000, and they're quite easily attainable as well. It's kind of trading, buying and selling those, and giving people the opportunity to kind of reminisce of these players from the past and a bit of history, and if they're lucky, potentially make a few bob on the way.
And what's the most expensive card that you've found?
That I found, there's been a few. We found a rookie David Beckham from 1996 in a decent grade that goes for well over £10,000. We actually found two of those. Maradona 1986, Eusebio from 1972. I've actually, funnily enough, got next to me. So the one of the most sought after players is obviously Maradona, particularly now he's recently died.
Yeah.
His rookie, and with any sports, it's the rookie card that's the one that's most sought after. The first ever edition, the Michael Jordan one, for example, goes for hundreds of thousands. The Pele and the Maradona one you can find in this pack I've got here, which has been sealed since 1979. Now, rather than be opened, the person I got this from has decided to get it graded and encapsulate it in this plastic case.
Right.
Because it's actually worth more money like that than if you were to open it and find absolutely nothing. However, for a video, I will be opening this over the next couple of days and been trying to find that Maradona, potentially worth over £500,000.
Wow. Oh, so that he doesn't know that there's a Maradona one. Maradona one in there.
Yeah.
But he's had that pack graded as an open pack.
as an unopened pack, because the chances are it'd be worth more like that in the future than opening it up and finding nothing.
Yeah.
And those packs are like gold dust. You can't find them.
No.
Sealed anyway.
It's fascinating. I must admit, it's definitely a thing when you go down a rabbit hole. I noticed that you were on live, and I thought I'm going to watch a little bit, and then as soon as you start opening these packs, it's like it's very tense because, and especially when you find a good one. You know, the videos you've got where it's showing that you found, you know, a Beckham or. And then you go on one of your like colourful rants because somebody's found something, or you found something. It's you've done well there, mate. You found yourself a nice little niche, haven't you? It's very good.
Yeah, it's good fun as well. That's the thing. Like, with so many people coming to watch it as well, I'm lucky in that respect that there's a lot of live streams now on TikTok and stuff that, you know, are just probably in it for the wrong reasons. But I generally enjoy it and enjoy talking about football and could talk forever about a variety of things, including music. So it's just nice to have those people who keep coming back.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know what I'd do about it now, to be honest. Yeah. I couldn't go back to doing a 9 to 5.
No, definitely not. Well, I'll put the link to the TikTok channel in the show notes. So if anybody does want to check it out, click on it. And if you're, I mean, again, I can remember back in my youth having Panini, you know, sticker books. It was the thing that everybody had to have.
Yeah,
it was part of the football season. Having your Shoot magazine with the league ladders at the start of the season. Oh, it was just that kind of innocence from football is gone now. It's just
that's what we're trying to bring back a bit. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
you're all right.
Okay. So we've done half the podcast on sport. There you go. But we're here to do Oasis songs. So generally, where does Oasis stand for you in the pantheon of music?
As I said, I'm 32 years old, and for someone my age, I've got a very old school music taste. A lot of my music taste will be from the 60s and 70s, and I was. Even at school, that was my music taste. It was not even from my parents. It's just kind of I found myself. My dad was like very into the Jam and that kind of post-punk era kind of stuff. Mum very much into like Frank Sinatra and the kind of the classic kind of slow music. But I had a love for the Beatles, the Stones, the Kinks, that kind of stuff, and had that from very early on. So when Oasis came around, that was my tribe. It felt like I belonged, even though I was like probably the only person in my school who was into them, like massively into them. I felt I belonged to something, even though I didn't really know what it was. If that makes sense. So when I left secondary school, I went to college. All my friends went to sixth form. It was only me and like one other dude from that school that went to this college. So I was very much an outcast and by myself. Everyone else was into bloody Green Day and My Chemical Romance were massive at the time. I do like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but they were like getting a bit too big for their boots as well, as Noel Gallagher said. And it just felt completely alien to me. It wasn't speaking about anything that I could relate to. It just felt fantasy. It didn't feel like real music either. I know that sounds really arrogant, but it just felt pretend and make believe. And I'm not a fan of Green Day. It just feels very plastic. And Oasis were rugged and raw. And as I'm sure we'll go on to with their lyrics and stuff, it just felt, I don't know. It's you can't write it down. That's the thing, and I know, but you can't write it down. There's something about. And I'm not an arrogant person. I'm a very timid, shy, especially at school and at college. Didn't speak to anyone, kept myself to myself. Very, very self-aware, embarrassing myself. Just was very shy and timid. But Oasis was that gateway into feeling confident and giving you a kick at the arse and not giving a fuck about anyone. And that's what it gives to people like me. I think there is a common misconception. It is like football hooligan music, and I can understand that to a certain degree because it's been associated with certain things like that. And obviously, it's people drunk at the end of the night singing Wonderwall. It's associated with as well. But for a large minority of people, I think it built self-confidence. And I'm going all artisan and very poetic about it, but it genuinely did for me. It gave me confidence. It made me me. It made me be okay to be me. And like what I like, and fuck anyone else, and I'll be ever thankful for that.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously a lot younger than I am. When Oasis came out, it was the lad culture. It was Men Behaving Badly, and it was Loaded Magazine and Nuts Magazine.
Yeah.
And you were probably too young to look at things like Loaded Magazine and that.
Hey, well, we may have got a few copies from the old corner shop.
But that was the thing, and then the press made it this Blur versus Oasis kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
But I can remember, not for Definitely Maybe, but definitely for What's the Story, Morning Glory, and the third album, especially Be Here Now, I had that feeling that this must be what it was like when the Beatles released an album. Because it was like you were, and the internet wasn't a thing around that time. So it was waiting for the time, and Be Here Now, I can remember getting down to the record shop, buying the CD, coming home and listening to it like 3 times with my headphones on, just straight one after another. And it gets a lot of shit, that album, for being like a little bit overproduced. And I think Noel was a little bit I think he was a bit arrogant on that and just like throwing everything at it. But I can remember like listening to that album the first 3 times and fucking loving every second of it. I was genuinely like, I don't think I breathed during the first time of listening to it all the way through. And it wasn't until the last song finished that I sort of like let out a breath and thought, I'm going to listen to that again.
That was very, very much the prime drug taking years, wasn't it?
Oh, it was just, it was just everything about it was great. And I think once it got, my feeling is that they were the best when they were struggling. When Noel is writing songs about living in a shitty part of Manchester and there's, they want to be rock and roll stars. That's what they want to be. As soon as it got to be where they had a few million in the bank and Noel started giving out the songwriting duties to other people, that's when I kind of drifted away. It wasn't the same.
We'll come on to this when we come into our top 10, because I think I'm going to have... See, this is how much of an Oasis fan I am. I've come out the other side because I once, same as you. So Be Here Now, I think, was one of the fastest selling albums the UK's ever had on the back of the first 2. Although, and critically done all right at the time, contrary to popular belief. It's only with hindsight we're going, actually, what the fuck was that about? And even Noel and Liam have said those are the prime drug taking years. The songs are fucking 8 minutes long, and it was all around the world. I think it's their most hated song. They both despise it. I actually think the album after Standing on the Shoulders of Giants was much worse. There is not a song on that I really like, to be honest.
Really?
But a couple maybe. But I think after that album, after they took a couple of years off and then came back with Heathen Chemistry and then Don't Believe the Truth, you've got to remember, as you said earlier, the internet was a brand new thing. They transcended analog sales into physical sales, buying CDs and vinyl, into a new media of, obviously for the CDs and whatever else, and then into the internet age of buying things online from Amazon, and then into the streaming age, the very early days of that, and iTunes. So they transcended all that time. And if you have a look, even in 2024, at the most downloaded songs or the most streamed artists, they're still bang up there, particularly UK and Europe. But yeah, the second half of their career in the noughties, I'm very fond of. Obviously, that was the time when I was a teenager and kind of growing up and finding their music more. But I do think it's sometimes overlooked, because I think of all these reminiscent documentaries that have come out in the last few years about Britpop, about Blur and Oasis, and about New Labour and all that time, they just completely overlook the last 3 albums. And Don't Chuck the Baby Out of the Bathwater, there are some really, really good songs there that, because their catalogue of music is so vast and so great, because the songs from the last albums weren't as good as arguably the first few, people just disregard them. But if any other artist had wrote those songs, they'd be number ones or in the top 10 or top 40 quite easily. And let's not forget, after the second album, they released the master plan. I was saying this to someone else earlier, actually. Which other, even the Beatles or the Stones, it's up there. After 2 albums, you can release an album full of B-sides because they're in such high demand.
Yes.
I can't think of another artist that you'd be able to do that with. Not that B-sides are really a thing anymore, but
that was the thing about Oasis. Every time they released a single, it was like getting another mini album.
Oh yeah,
because there'd be 3 or 4, especially like the Wonderwall CD single with Round Our Way, and I think that had the master plan.
Tune.
It was like every single, like you say, every single song would have been a hit single for somebody else, and they just chucked it on the CD single. And you think, Jesus Christ, how are they doing this? I mean, how is Noel doing this? Because it was him writing the songs, and every song was a banger. And I can remember buying a bootleg CD, and it just had it had like Sad Song and all these other songs, We Talk Tonight, and all these other songs. And you think, Jesus Christ, it's just crazy that the sort of hit rate that guy had. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the songs, as somebody that can play the simple chords on a guitar, and I'm gonna compare Oasis to Taylor Swift now, in the fact that they, for the majority of like especially the early songs, he's using very simple chords, and I've always found that if you can write loads of great songs with the same 4 chords, the same as Taylor Swift does, that's a fucking gift. Because and then you've got to make every song sound different. You know, okay, they've got leanings towards the Beatles and T-Rex and stuff like that, and Gary Glitter, but you know, there's still, you know, it's an Oasis song, and I think it's, you know, I was genuinely full in. I was at Nebworth. I went to Nebworth.
Have you watched the documentary?
I haven't seen it yet. No, I know, but me and my mate went, and it was. You know, you get those moments where you feel like I'm in history here. Yeah. This is history. And it was just so good. It was just so good. And Be Here Now, I think Liam has never, before and since, sounded better. I mean, the songs, like I say, are overproduced, but I think his voice he's at his absolute peak on that album. I don't think he's ever sounded better.
Yeah, I agree. I think he kind of lost it for a bit in the like noughties up until he was with BDI.
It was too much and you could see it was like he was struggling to sing it.
He was forcing it out a bit.
He was forcing it out,
but his later stuff, his like solo work, he's kind of gone back to that kind of more melodic kind of twang.
Yeah, and he's got some great songs on his albums as well.
Yeah,
Once is a good one.
Team Liam or Team Noel?
I'm a Team Noel. Yeah, I am a Team Noel, I must admit. His first solo album was absolutely fucking fantastic.
There's not a bad. So I went to go and see him live when he released it, and before my dad passed away, that album's very special to me because we both bonded over that album, musically.
Yeah,
probably the only album we have actually, other than the other, a bit random, but the first Franz Ferdinand album.
Right.
There's not a bad tune on that album.
Yeah, it's got one of the greatest sort of first 3 or 4 songs of an album I think ever. The way that the songs sort of roll into each other, and that was kind of when he said he was going to do his own, like, so I thought that I know what I want from a Noel Gallagher album, and I listened to it and I thought that's exactly it. That's exactly what I wanted. And then he started getting a little bit more dancey, a bit more, and I sort of drifted away. But he's done a few more really good songs lately. But
I agree.
Okay, now as we just said, the one thing about Oasis is it's not just about their singles. So I don't know about you, but I've got at least 4 or 5 B songs in my top 10. I think.
Yeah, I think I've got 3 or 4.
Yeah.
3 or 4. That's the thing. Yeah, I was having this argument. I argue about Oasis. I stand up for them every day. Not that I have to, but I really like music. I really like music history. I like the stories. It's like, you know, we mentioned T-Rex earlier with what happened to Mark Bolan and Gloria Jones and the car crash. And so I just love the stories and the kind of whatever else. But yeah, like any of their B-sides would be a #1 song for Ed Sheeran now.
Yes.
And that's why I really don't like Ed Sheeran. I just think, and you know what I mean? I just don't get it. It's popularism. It's not, doesn't mean anything. It's that plastic music to me.
Yeah.
I like Taylor Swift, to be fair. I can get on board with that. I can get on board with Harry Styles to a certain extent because I think he's got a bit about him. But Ed Sheeran, man, how has he got this big? He's ginger. Like, it should never have happened.
And that's no disrespect to any gingers that are listening.
No, he's a fantastic musician, but his songs are shite. Yeah. I don't get it.
You know what? It's weird because I do listen to songs today and I think, will people be talking, you know, with love and reverence in like 20 years about this song? I don't think they will. But then again, were people saying the same thing when Oasis first came out and saying, "Oh, they're just pretending to be the Beatles. That's all they're doing." You know, I don't know. It's very, very strange. I will try and play the songs underneath when we say what our numbers are going to be. So, okay, Ollie or Paolo? How shall I refer to?
Go with Ollie.
Ollie, okay.
I'll forget.
We're not going to use
Living
your
a double life
stage
here.
name
Yeah,
tonight.
it's like Freaky Friday.
Yeah, because I don't want you going on a big, massive, like sweary rant, and that's when you're in character, isn't it? So
don't poke the bear.
yeah, indeed. Okay, then, what's your number 10 Oasis song, then, mate?
When I started narrowing this down, I did have a top 10 that consisted of 25 songs, so I've had to narrow it down, and this crept in. Supersonic is my number 10.
That's my number 8.
Fair
So
play.
yeah.
I thought that might have been a bit of a controversial take because it is considered one of the main first singles.
I think this was actually their very first release, I think, wasn't it?
I think it was. It was either This or Live Forever. I can't quite remember. But I think it got to number 11 in the UK, or top 30 at least. I think it actually done pretty well in the US as well. But this is quintessential Oasis, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I always think the sign of a good song is if you can play the first, say, 5 seconds of a song, you know exactly what it is. Even if it's just, what this is just the drum beat. You know straight away that's Supersonic. Okay, and that's great when it's a live song because as soon as they start playing it, everybody's going fucking mental.
I really like the Noel's slower acoustic version as well.
I do, yes.
I think that's class. He played it live quite a few times, and and the music video is iconic as well. It is kind of the first time you see Oasis. I think that was the first time I kind of visually put the faces to the names as well, kind of black and white on top of the rooftop in Manchester. But it is nonsense to the highest order, but it's a good catchy tune, and it's a good first invitation to what the band's about again.
Indeed. And they mentioned the Yellow Submarine, so straight away there's a Beatles link, as pretty much is on a lot of the Oasis songs. I can remember the very first time I saw this was on, I think it was The Word on Channel 4, and I think it was Nifty 50 con man, what was his name, Mark Lamar, who introduced them, and this is Oasis, and you sort of watch them, and they looked okay, but as soon as like the drums and the guitar kick in, you think, hang on a minute, there's something a little bit different about these guys. And then Liam just had that look like he didn't give a fuck. Like, he'll fight anybody, I don't give a shit where
Twice
I am.
his size,
he's just ready to fucking lay into anybody. And it was just straight away you think there's something there, So yeah,
absolutely. I think that was their first TV appearance where it's the only time you can see him holding the microphone. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. I think it's, well, like I say, it's number 8 for me, so I'm going to have that one. Okay, my number 10, I'm going for one that was on the Master Plan album, and this is Acquiesce.
Ooh, that's my number 7.
Oh, now what's it going to be if we have exactly the same top 10 but just in different?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got some pretty rogue shouts in there, to be fair, so we'll see. But it could be close.
Yeah, and it starts off with a What's the Story, Morning Glory little sort of refrain at the start. But it's a duet, basically. It's a duet between the two brothers.
There's another song coming up later on that's a duet, but it's that call and response.
Yes.
Isn't it? But it's got tension in it as well, because you obviously know they hate each other. But, it's so good.
But that's the thing. I mean, brothers are brothers, aren't they? But Noel is going, we need each other. We believe in each other, I think, I think it's almost become a pantomime now, though, hasn't it? This whole, they don't talk to each other, and they don't need to talk to each other. I think Liam wants the reunion more than Noel does. I think that's something because he wants to be the front man of Oasis again. But I just think it's a great rock and roll song.
It's so good. The thing is, it was a B-side as well. He said to Some Might Say. So Some Might Say was their first number 1.
Yeah.
This is the B-side.
See,
it could have easily been. It's mental.
It's fucking crazy.
It was very nearly not on the Master Plan album.
Really?
It only got on there because it was voted. Oasis fans were being persistent on the website. Basically, blocked up the website with requests to put it on the.
Oh, really?
On the album they heard was being put together. and it was weirdly popular in America as well because they played it on Saturday Night Live.
Right. Okay.
With the late Matthew Perry was hosting.
Wow.
So it gained a bit of traction over there. But,
well done. That's great knowledge there.
There we go. Told you I was a fan.
Ollie. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay then. What's your number 9?
I've gone, and this is an Oasis song I actually only listened to for like the first time maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I just disregarded it as one of these kind of obscure tracks. It's called It's Better People.
Okay.
Which was the B-side to Roll With It, which was their main song, which was against Blur's Country House at the height of the Britpop battle. It's a classic acoustic Noel track. And I don't know why, but it just instantly puts me in a good mood. And if you're an Oasis fan, or you think you're an Oasis fan, and you're not familiar with this song, or maybe you've not even heard this song, because I'll be face it, I thought I was a pretty big Oasis fan, and I was like, what the fuck's that? And then when I heard it for the first time 4 or 5 years ago, I played it non-stop for a good 2 years, every other day, if not every day. And it's up there with like Sad Song or Half the World Away. It's an undiscovered gem. I'm convinced this will be a Christmas song in a few years' time. It's just Noel at his absolute best. And again, it's all acoustic, nice rhythm. If this was an Ed Sheeran song, released in 2024, it would be number 1. It would be. It just would be.
Yeah. You kind of get the feeling that at this point, Noel was, and I don't mean this isn't being a dig at Noel, but he was shitting songs like this out 4 or 5 times a day. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He was just shitting out gold. And it was sort of like, just put a guitar and a piece of paper and a pen in front of you, and then in 10 minutes, he will do a song like this that no one else was doing. You know? And I think you're absolutely right. It's such a good song. And what was it on again? It was on this.
It was a B-side to Roll With It, so that would have been What's the Story. But it's just the harmonies, and he recorded it all by himself, as you can hear in the harmonies now. It's him singing over himself.
Yeah.
So he just done it. He just told the rest of the band to fuck off, famously, and he just done it himself.
Yeah.
And this is when they lost Tony McCarroll when they recorded this album. So I don't know. It's just a really nice, positive tune as well, and I think that's what's missing in a lot of music today.
I think you're right. That's a great one. It's Better People at number 9. My number 9 is one that you just mentioned, and it's Sad Song.
What a tune.
It's again, it's just Noel. A little bit more melancholy than I think than the positiveness of It's Better People. But this to me is like the quintessential Noel with a guitar on his own song. You know, and it was on, I think it was on the Master Plan album, I think, wasn't it, this one?
Might have been.
Because I think it was a B-side. I'm pretty sure it was a B-side.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But I remember, I think he sang it on Jules Holland. I think he sang it with Jules Holland. And it was just fantastic because it showed just what a great musician he was.
That's the thing. And if you're a novice Oasis fan and you're going, I hate these arrogant football hooligans, this cuts through this song and shows a complete different, innocent, clever, articulate, lovely side to what they can be. Yeah. And that's why I don't trust people who don't like Oasis, because it means you haven't understood them, if that makes sense. If you're listening to Just Cigarettes and Alcohol and Supersonic over again, I can understand maybe a little bit of neglect, but when you listen to Half the World Away or It's Better People or Sad Song, how could you not like this song? It's just innocent, it's sweet, and it's genius.
Do you think though that I mean that they even do it now? I mean, Noel, you'll listen to him and he can get very arrogant, and he can get very sort of. I can remember when he took the piss out of the Arctic Monkeys because he was saying about their name, and he was saying, no band called the Arctic Monkeys are ever going to be good or going to make anything of themselves. And they still, both of them are the same. They both still say these things, and people go, "Oh, fucking shut up!" And I think that is it takes away from what musically they've done.
Maybe, but the Arctic Monkeys did support them on their last tour.
Exactly.
For one, and for two, there's not enough people who've got. I don't agree with everything they both say, but I'm fully on board for being entertained by it. If I'm ever in a shit day, I'll watch. There's a couple of compilations, the best of Liam and the best of Noel, which are 15-minute clips on YouTube. if you ever fucking having a bad one and you want a bit of spicing up, go and watch those videos because they're just acting like arrogant, as you said, quite arrogant, but quite funny.
Yeah.
In these interviews.
Yeah.
And you just don't see it enough. When
No.
when again, Ed Sheeran, when he's been interviewed, it's all lovely. And it's Taylor Swift, it's all lovely. When it's even Madonna and Elder Statesman, it's all lovely. You just don't know what's going to come out of their mouth. And I like the fact that they'll slag other people off.
Yeah.
You
you're
need
right.
that. I like when Noel said he fucking hates Green Day. I was like, finally, someone's speaking my language. It means I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of things I don't agree with. And then with Liam Gallagher, the last person you'd expect to like Girls Aloud, I can't remember, there's a video of him where he's like recording something, where he's like one of his BDI or something. And he goes, shit, is that Girls Aloud? And they all come like, he comes running over to them and starts hugging and kissing them. And it's just, I don't know. I think don't take them too seriously, but at the same time, it's refreshing to have people who are opinionated, even if you don't agree with it. You need fresh takes because it keeps the mind ticking. It keeps the world going. You can't have people who are plastic, as I keep saying. I think there's too much of that in the music industry. We haven't had that 60s, 70s punk revival, that kind of real attitude. Not that you need it, but I feel like there's something really missing in the world, especially in Britain, in the music industry at the moment. It's really flat. Maybe with the grime culture and drill music, but it just seems like a passing phase, as Oasis, as we'll go to mention, they're still being talked about now. It's
almost a little bit like what we were saying earlier on about like modern day football and that. There's no characters in the game.
That's it, yeah.
You know, and it's like everything is very just vanilla.
Do you think it's to do with like cancel culture a bit? Because no question, some of the things maybe no one would have said in the past, had that been caught on camera phone.
Yeah.
Potentially that's their career over, you know.
But then again, the 90s, it was lad culture. It was and all of that kind of stuff. You couldn't get away with that kind of stuff now. You know, the movies that were being made in those days. Have you ever listened to was it Wibbling Rivalry?
Yeah.
Which was Noel and Liam having one of their classic arguments, you know, and he's talking about Scouse sleppers and music, and they're just having an argument. And I think that ended up in the charts because somebody put it up on a
crazy.
But it was just them arguing. You know, it's just brothers being brothers. So anyway, back to your number 8 then, please, Ollie.
Okay, this is probably the most controversial one because it's from the last album that they released, Dig Out Your Soul, in 2008, and it is The Shock of the Lightning, which was their standout single from that album. And it's a controversial take because, again, I think most Oasis fans, just general Oasis fans, will probably disagree with me completely and never have this anywhere near the top 10. But it's going back to what I was saying earlier. I think that album goes very overlooked. I don't think it's a great album, but I don't think it's a terrible one. I don't think it's their worst album. And I think when this song came out was when I was going to college by myself every single day. And this was my Oasis, if that makes sense. I'd finally found my tribe, my people, and this song wouldn't be out of place on the first 2 albums. It's fast, it's rugged, it's got that heavy intro, it's got the harmonies. Bit like Rock and Roll Star, a bit like Cigarettes and Alcohol, a bit like Acquiesce. It's got that intrusive, pulsive guitar for the first 30 seconds or so, and then
it's
goes
got
into
that
the
Columbia
classic.
sound as well.
Exactly, yeah. And then it goes into that classic Oasis rhythm. I think this is, although it's from their last album, this is the closest song I had in my peak kind of teenage years that related and was kind of a new song, effectively, from Definitely Maybe or What's the Story. It felt like part of that, if that makes sense. And on the bus to school, on my iPod, this album was on repeat. So I've got a lot of this album put me in my place, and this song, it transports me back, if that makes sense. And it done quite well commercially as well, I believe. I think it got to number 3 in the UK charts behind Pink's So What and Sex on Fire by Kings of Leon. So to be pinned behind by those 2 songs only is pretty good commercially, and I think it did actually make the NME top 100 songs of the decade. So
and that far in to their career as well, that they were still getting like top 5, top 10 hits.
And then it was only 6 months after this album came up they broke up. So I think this album is largely dismissed. But I do think there's a couple of, as I said earlier, don't chuck the baby out of the bathwater. There are a couple of songs in there that are pretty decent, and again would walk in and could potentially be a top 10 hit for any artist around today.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do need to go back, sort of post Standing on the Shoulder of Giants.
Yeah, it's worth doing.
Because I know that there are, I mean, Heathen Chemistry, that's the one that's got the importance of being idle on
That's
it.
Don't Believe the Truth.
That's Don't Believe
Heathen
the Truth.
Chemistry is like Little by Little.
Right.
Go Let It Out. It's a great tune. I think that's
and I think every album I've always found has got 2 or 3 great songs, but I haven't given the last
two or three
albums the time I need.
Say that because I was with Sad Song you just mentioned. When I first heard that years and years ago, I didn't really like it.
Right.
But as I've revisited it in the last few years, it's one of my favourite Oasis songs. Didn't make my top 10, unfortunately, but but it is solid in the top 15, to say the least.
Well, when I get to my number 6, I've got a confession to make about that one. So anyway, but my number 7, we have mentioned it a couple of times, and it is Talk Tonight. Another one that I always pair this one along with Sad Song because it feels to me the same kind of thing. It was the first song I learned on the guitar.
Oh, really?
That I because it's quite a simple song to sing and to play. But there was a version that I saw live where and I think it might have been on the Word as well, but it was Paul Weller on the keyboards, singing the harmony part of the song. And it's a great version. I'll put it on the video playlist for our Patreon subscribers because it genuinely is just a great. And that's the one thing about, Noel Gallagher has these heroes. He has Paul McCartney as his hero. Paul Weller was a hero. And there he is, up on stage with his hero. And this mank kid that, has just pulled himself up with the rest, with his brother and other people and become rock gods. And they sort of literally around with heroes of theirs.
Yeah, this song is criminally, again, it fortunately didn't make my top 10 this time, but it easily could have done tomorrow or next week. It could have, they're so interchangeable. And this is, it's a love song. It's anyone else could have, if you gave this to Leona Lewis.
Oh, it's Leona Lewis now.
Well, I don't know if it's in your top 10, but she famously got a top 10 single with Stop Crying Your Heart Out.
Oh, did she?
After the X Factor, she done that Keep Bleeding song.
Right.
Which I remember Liam saying, my ears keep fucking bleeding. And then her next single was Stop Crying Your Heart Out.
Oh,
which
really?
Obviously
No, I never heard that. Maybe I did, and my brain just cancelled it out.
And it revived her career. So,
wow.
Leona Lewis, you give Talk Tonight to Leona Lewis.
Okay.
I don't know what she's been doing recently, but give that song to her. I don't know. She's got a career back on her hands.
Cool. Okay. So I was meant to say my number 8 was Supersonic. Your number 7 was Acquiesce.
It was, yeah.
My number 7 was Talk Tonight. So now back to you, Ollie, for your number 6.
It's Cigarettes and Alcohol.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which could have, again, as I said, another day, could have been top 3, but depends on the mood, I guess you're in. Speaking of moods, I think this song sums up the mood of a nation, particularly in the 90s as well, although I was only a young whippersnapper. That kind of the last days of a dying Tory government, the working class kind of stuck in a pendulum of not being able to escape their certain fate. And I think the lyrics, is it worth the aggravation to find a job when there's nothing worth working for, is to a certain degree something I've lived my life by. And maybe I've not accepted second best. I've always kind of, done my own thing and it's worked out. It's the first song off the full album that's probably very high tempo and kind of more rugged and very triggering and kind of Oasis signature, really. It just, again, being titled Cigarettes and Alcohol, I think, again, it fits into that lad culture, but easily, I think, if you listen to the lyrics, it's about being trapped in a pretty dark place, but happy with your lot or escaping. And yeah, I think you could be from any background, any dynamic, any environment, and you could relate to this song in some capacity. Yeah,
it's that classic kind of rock and roll thing that you have this hope of being in a better place. But you're happy with your lot, if you like. It doesn't matter whether I make it or not. As long as I've got cigarettes and alcohol, I'm good. That can take away the pain of me working fucking 10 hours a day in a shit job and living in a shit housing estate If I can come back and have some cigarettes and alcohol, then everything's fine. Everything's cool.
Absolutely.
You know, and to me, it's like it's one of those songs that it's like it's kind of close to punk. You know, it's got that punk edge, punky kind of edge to it. But another one of those ones, as soon as the song starts, you know exactly what it is and you know exactly who it is.
Yeah, I think didn't Blur in response release Coffee and TV?
I think that's right.
Which I actually think is a pretty good tune as well.
It's a great tune.
Contrary to popular belief, I actually do quite like Blur, and I think Graham Coxon's probably one of the most underrated guitarists.
Yeah, they've done some great songs, Blur. Yeah. They really have, and I think that was the thing. It was only a thing that the press did of pitting Blur fans against Oasis fans, and it was sort of like you had to choose between one of the two. You didn't need to choose between one of the two. They've done some great songs, Blur.
Yeah, I think if you respect music and you know enough about music, I think you respect both of them, and even Damon and Noel. Still, they do stuff that they get together now, and whatever else. Yeah,
they get on, don't they? And if they get on, then all's well with the world.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, my number 6. So I did my top 10, and I was happy with my top 10.
Okay.
And I'd worked out what I wanted to say about all the different songs, and then realised that I never had Wonderwall in the top 10. So I thought I need to change that. Now the trouble is, it's number 6. So Wonderwall is at number 6 for me.
Can I shock you?
Go on then. It's not in your top 10.
It's not in my top 10.
But don't you think that that's the reason that people have heard that song so many times? I find it's like the same as like you don't appreciate it the same as I don't appreciate Bohemian Rhapsody now because I've heard it so many times. It becomes just like, you know, plasticine for the ears, and you think, but then when you listen to it, when you really listen to it, you realise what a genius song it is. Well, I'm talking about this or Bohemian Rhapsody. This one in its simplicity. That it's that if you go, I'm sure if you go to a guitar teacher, the chords of this song are the first 4 chords that you'll learn. They're the easiest chords to learn on a song. So it makes everybody think as soon as they pick a guitar up and they can learn E minor, G, D, C. I could be Noel Gallagher. I could do this. I could write songs like this. It has got that thing. I mean, I've sung this so many times at gigs, and it's you'll always get some fucking knobhead coming, do Wonderwall, and it's like 8 o'clock at night. And you think, no, I'll do it at the end of the night. Is that all right? Oh yeah, just do Wonderwall, and everybody will sing it. So it's that thing. What amazed me was that I'd done the top 10 and completely forgot about it. That was the thing that got me. So I thought, I feel I have to. It's not my number 1. But I feel it has to be in the top 10 for me.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. I think, to your point, it is overplayed to the extent. It is a genius song. Don't get me wrong. It is genius. And if it wasn't for that song, you could argue that maybe they wouldn't have got the widespread and popularity they've now got between people who are 16 and under, 18 and under, all that, 25 and under. And that can be a gateway drug to finding songs like Acquiesce or Supersonic. So if anything, Wonderwall's done the world of good in that respect. However, for me personally, I couldn't put it in because it just isn't one of my favourite Oasis songs. And also I wanted to give a shout out to the little lesser known guys who were hopefully people listening will go and check out.
That makes absolute sense.
But it is a fantastic song. But it is annoying. Okay, no, I like Oasis. I like Wonderwall. What else do you like?
Exactly.
It really grinds my gears.
Yeah. You kind of hope that it is a gateway drug kind of thing. I think the same is like Angels is for Robbie Williams. It's like everybody knows that song, but they probably don't know a lot of his other stuff. And it goes with anybody, isn't it? If they have that one big song, and it was never a number 1 either.
Yeah, wasn't it beaten by what was the guy who Simon Cowell used to manage?
I was one of
Robson and Jerome.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Yeah, but it was like one of those famous like. Never got to number 1, which is crazy. Okay, we're halfway through, so it's time for this.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
So normally, obviously, you'd be fighting against Neil for this, but I've got 10 Oasis questions. Let's see how much you really know.
Oh, no.
Let's see how much
I forgot about this.
Here we go. Who was the head of Creation Records who signed Oasis to their first record deal?
Alan McGee.
Is correct.
Yes.
What televised gig did Noel have to take lead vocals duties on after Liam had said he had a sore throat and then heckled Noel from the audience?
Oh, was it MTV Unplugged?
It was MTV Unplugged. Well done. What is the name of Liam and Noel's other brother?
Oh, fucking hell. Oh,
well done. 3 for 3.
Drag that out of my...
Well
somewhere.
done.
Yeah.
Which movie star appeared in the video for The Importance of Being Idle?
Reese Iffens. Is it?
Well done. 4 for 4. In which music video did Noel play the iconic Union Jack guitar?
Ooh.
Have I got him? Have I got him?
Yeah, you might have. I think it was at Main Road. Oh, I think I'm just gonna go with. Do you know what I mean?
No, it was Don't Look Back in Anger.
Of course, it fucking was. Yep.
What was the band's name before Oasis?
Oh, do know this. Why is it not coming to me? It's something weird. It's just really annoying because as soon as I hear it, I'll be like, "Yep, that's it." No, go on.
It was The Rain.
Yep, it was.
What song was Oasis's first UK number 1?
I think it was Some Might Say.
It was Some Might Say. One of Oasis's B-sides went on to be the theme to which popular TV show?
The Royal Family.
Is correct. He's back on the horse. Oasis guitarist Paul Arthurs has what nickname?
Quigsy? No.
Bonehead.
Of course it is.
Bonehead. Because I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Quigsy was Quigsy's nickname.
Yeah, it was.
You said it with the answer.
I saw. I was like, tunnel vision.
And your final one. When Creation Records folded in 1999, Oasis created their own label called what?
Big Brother.
Correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was 70%.
I'll take it.
That's pretty good, mate.
Considering I was,
pretty good.
Wee napper. Yeah, I'll take it.
But well done. Well done on that one. Okay, back to the top 10. And what is your number 5?
So funny you just mentioned it. It is Half the World Away.
There you go.
The iconic, again, which was also the first song I learned to play on a guitar.
Was it?
Because it was just chords C and F and then goes through like a D and a G. Again, very, very simple down, up strum. Made famous, of course, by John Lewis and, as you said, the Royal Family. Do you know it was actually initially meant to be Married and Children? That was the theme tune to the Royal Family.
Oh, really?
That was the song they were willing to let go, and they were a bit confused when they asked for this one. But also, apparently, they didn't pay any royalties for it at the time.
Really?
Because it was a B-side. They just thought it'd be free press.
Fair enough.
But yeah, B-side to Whatever, and was covered by Aurora for the John Lewis Christmas advert a couple of years ago, where it charted at number 11 in the UK singles chart. But yet, for the original artists, it was a B-side. Again, we're going to keep having this conversation, but yeah, what it just is, just again lyrically, it's about, as we discussed before, trying to escape and being stuck, but also kind of being happy with your lot, I guess. But it's just genius. It really is so simple.
It perfectly fits with what the Royal Family was all about as well.
Yeah, very much.
Wasn't it? Because they were just people that were happy with their lot. They were happy, they were excited if they went out and got everyone got a crunchy from the shop. That was like a highlight of their night, and you kind of feel that's sort of what it was all about. So yeah, it didn't make my top 10, but it was very close to making my top 10 without a shadow of a doubt. It's another one of those classic Noel acoustic guitar songs.
Yeah, it's timeless as well.
Completely agree. My number 5 is one that you mentioned earlier on. It's not the Leona Lewis version. I'm going to actually go for Stop Crying Your Heart Out. One reason that I love this song, I love this song. I do love this song, but it was right. Now you have to help me. You're the football expert. Which World Cup was it when England lost to Brazil with the Ronaldinho? 2002.
Yeah.
So I can remember that I was on at like dinner time, and I was on shifts working for Honda at the time, and I had to go into work after the football match. And I can remember that England lost, and Ronaldinho hooked it over David Seaman's, from like fucking 40 yards or whatever it was. And I was this is when I cared about England. I don't give a shit about England football anymore. I've been burnt too many times in my life. And I remember they had a montage at the end of the I think it was ITV that did it, and this was the song they played over the montage. And I cried my fucking eyes out because, again, with every World Cup, I think England are going to do it this time. They're going to do it this time. And to go out on such a lucky goal, it was heartbreaking. It was genuine. And then they played this song, which I loved, and I thought, I just couldn't stop crying. And then I had to go to work as well. And every time, it always takes me back. I can't remember the year because I'm old, so I can never remember the years. But I always get that tingle down my spine. It takes me back to that moment, seeing that montage and hearing that song. So, yeah, it just brings back bad memories.
It's a great montage song. I'm pretty sure it was used in Goal as well, in that the Newcastle.
Oh, right.
Film.
Oh, was it? I've never seen that.
What hurts even more is that Ronaldinho was actually sent off in that game as well. So
Was
they had
he?
10 men. Yeah. That's what we forget.
I can't remember that.
So Brazil had 10 men. And we were 1-0 up for 60 minutes or so.
It's another missed opportunity, but that's just one. It always has that bittersweet feeling for me when I hear that song. But it's such a beautiful, beautiful song.
It is. It's one of those ones that I really didn't like for a long time, and again, kind of growing to like it. It was a bit too slow for me. And again, it's been covered by every other X Factor contestant to death.
Yeah.
It fits their a cappella quite nicely.
Yeah, but, completely agree. Go on then. What's your number 4?
So this was the song that could have been my number 1, I guess. But as you were saying, Wonderwall was so important because of it made Oasis, I guess, and it made them so synonymous with Britpop and British culture and music worldwide. This song done that for me, for the band, because this came out when, again, was in my peak teenage years, and I was too young for the Definitely Maybe and What's the Story More Than Golly. But when Don't Believe the Truth came out, which I think is a banging album title and songs alone, the song is Lila.
Lila, great tune.
Which was their 7th number 1 single. And I think, as you said earlier, their second half of their career as Oasis in the noughties, they weren't taking this seriously. People who thought their day had been and gone. And I think this song and The Importance of Being Idle, which are both on that album, was their resurgency, and people started taking them seriously again. That's when they started selling out the Etihad or whatever the stadium was at the time, and they started doing worldwide stadium tours again. And this is a song that hooked me in and took me back to Don't Look Back in Anger, took me back to Wonderwall, took me back to Cigarettes and Alcohol, and this song cemented me as a part of the tribe, because it just came at the right time in the right place. And I think people forget how important this album was and how good this album was as well. So I heavily recommend, even if you're a diehard Oasis fan and you think you die hard to the extreme where you'd only listen to the first 2 albums, do go back and listen to Don't Believe the Truth, The Importance of Being Idle, and Lila, A Bell Will Ring. There's some really, really good tunes in there which are reminiscent, may not be as good as some of the tunes from Definitely Maybe, but it's certainly up there. If you're after Oasis fix and there's no chance of them getting back together, go back to this album. And it's the closest thing you'll get to an Oasis new music, if that makes sense. And I think that's a good thing with their career being so fractured, with a lot of people who are very die-hard just in the 90s and very few people who've got mixed opinions on their later stuff. If you are one of those people, do go back to those last 2 or 3 albums, because it is like finding new music again. A bit like me with Sad Song, or even Stop Crying Your Heart Out. I just dismissed them, really. I just thought, that's not Oasis. And you go back and listen to them again, and you go, oh, Oasis got a new song out, effectively, even though it's 2024. And that's the great thing about those 2 albums and those later albums as well. They're just as good as some of the stuff, especially from Beer Here Now, anyway.
Yeah. I like I said earlier on, I need to really go back on some of those albums. Excuse me, getting all emotional.
But
yeah, that's
World Cup.
yeah, still haven't got over it. But that's a stadium rocker as well, isn't it? That's going to get everybody jumping. That song.
It's very simple, isn't it? It's just hooks people in.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, this is probably the most sort of out there song in regards to whether anybody would know this one. This is a deep cut, if you like. It's for my number 4, and it's "Let's All Make Believe."
Oh, yeah.
Again, this is one of the ones that Liam sounds fantastic on this song. It sounds very sort of floaty and ethereal, but it's got a great melody. I cannot remember what it was on. Yeah, it was definitely a B-side, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it might have been the B-side on Heaven Chemistry, or maybe the album before, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants.
Right.
To Don't Go Away, was that me? It's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it was, but I've got this. I've started doing like Neil has. He has a playlist where when he thinks of a song, he adds to it. And this was one of the first songs I remember putting on the playlist, because it's just one of those songs that just, I don't think it particularly sounds like an Oasis song, but it's just got everything. It's got, it just sounds fantastic. So I had to put it on there, and it made my number 4. So
fair play.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that one there. Okay. We're getting to the squeaky bum time now. We're getting to the meaty end of the stick. I don't like that metaphor.
Yeah, you've been watching my TikToks.
You can have that one if you want.
Yeah,
you can have that one. Okay, what's your number 3 then, Ollie?
Arguably one of the greatest songs ever written. This was Paul McCartney's favourite Oasis song. It's Slide Away.
That's my number 3.
Oh, is it?
That's my number 3. Yeah.
It is a classic call and response song. It's got the Gallaghers at their best, in my opinion, because there's quite a few tracks where they sing together or harmonise together, and for me, this is the best one. And if it's good enough for Paul McCartney, it's good enough for me. And I think the NME listed it as the greatest Oasis song, and is certainly voted the fans' favourite, I believe, for a live atmosphere. It's all, again, similar to how, and I don't want to compare Oasis to Queen too much, but similar to how Bohemian Rhapsody's got like 3 different parts to it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of operatic. This does as well. It's got the long intro, the kind of the harmonies towards the back end of the song, and in the middle, just a perfect chorus. It's got 3 different sections to it. It's like a beginning, middle, and end. It's very different to a lot of Oasis songs, I think.
I love the Noel acoustic version as well.
Yes.
He also did I think he did with the High Flying Birds, he did a version that was even more rockier than the original version. But you're absolutely right. It's just, again, simple chords, but it's just it's everything that is good about Oasis, I think. And especially the like I say, the call and response between the two brothers.
Oh, it's so good.
Is just, it's great. And I think when you listen back on it now, and you know that they're not getting on, it kind of is bittersweet, heartbreaking kind of thing when you hear the two of them singing together and stuff. But yeah, I didn't know that it had been voted the greatest, by the fans. But you can't beat it. You just can't beat it. It's a great tune. So that's my number 3 as well. So nice. Are we going to have the same top 3? I wonder.
It's going to be interesting. I think we might do.
Who knows? So. To be fair, anybody that's listened to any of my like music ones that has got anything to do with something that Oasis could be, they'll know what my number 1 is, but we'll get to that. So what's your number 2 then, Ollie?
Number 2 is Don't Look Back in Anger.
Ooh, okay.
You can't write it down, can you? There's been so many superlatives and hyperbole about this song. You can't say any more, really. I don't really know what to say now, apart from I think few people could have imagined how important this song is to people, and how it's played in funerals, it's played in DJ sets, it's played in tragedies, it's played at the end of school graduation, birthdays, sold out stadiums in Peru or Argentina in front of 500,000 people at Nebworth. There is an occasion where there isn't an occasion where this song wouldn't be out of place. And for that, it's up there as one of the greatest songs of all time. Even, I don't know, you take the greatest, I don't know, Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. You can't really play that at a funeral or a birthday party or.
People would try, I'm sure.
I'm sure people would try, but yeah. But with this, you could, and it goes down for me as one of the greatest songs there ever will be. Although it's starting to get a bit Wonderwall-y on me in terms of how often it's played. But every time I think about that, I listen to it again, and it's such a layered song as well. Beautiful harmonies, great chorus. It's got the little guitar wrangle towards the bridge at the end, and it's been developed and reused and tributed in so many different ways and reinvented that it's just genius. And there's a reason why Noel ends up at every single gig he does.
I mean, I will say, I think you saying about that whole Wonderwall of it all, it didn't make my top 10. And I think that's why. I think the same as I'd forgotten about Wonderwall, I sing this one a lot at the end of nights as well. And it's one that will guarantee everybody will sing along. I don't need to sing the chorus of that song because everybody will sing it. But it's, you're absolutely right. It is a great song, and I feel a little bit guilty not having it in my top 10. I feel it should be in there as it stands on there. It's the Mount Rushmore of Oasis songs.
It is. There's a seminal moment for me. I remember in my first job, there was like a staff party, and they hired some DJ, and he was just playing all the fucking tunes of the minute, fucking Ed Sheeran or fucking it generally was
Leona Lewis.
Yeah, Leona Lewis. U2. Robbie Williams. He was just playing all the classic cheesy bullshit and the Black Eyed Peas, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Just music I detest because it's just white, like it just doesn't. It's just nonsense. And at the end, he played "Don't Look Back in Anger," and it was the only song of the night that pulled everyone together onto the dance floor. And I think that's probably happened to everyone at some point.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I say, I mean, we make our decisions. Like you said earlier on, my top 10 now would be completely different next week.
Same.
You know, there's so many songs that could go in there. Same. And if I started listening to Heathen Chemistry and Dig It Out and all that kind, I'd probably think, oh, Jesus, that should have been on there. You know, so. Okay, my number 2 is another Noel with a guitar. It's Cast No Shadow.
Ooh.
I say it's Noel with a guitar. I mean, obviously, Noel's got all the guitar. I actually prefer the version that Noel sings.
Oh, really?
Compared to
interesting.
Yeah, I just love Noel's voice. I think it's a little bit more softer.
He does go underrated in terms of his singing.
Yeah, and he's very good at like hitting higher notes, which is hard to sing sometimes. But I see it's weird because I didn't think about Don't Look Back in Anger. I really thought we were going to have the same top 3 because I thought he hasn't done Cast No Shadow yet, and I thought
it's not. No, I've missed it. But I'm really intrigued because this is a very popular song amongst the hardcore Oasis fans. But for me, it just doesn't tickle the bone. But this has been used in a lot of films as well. Why this song for you?
It's just got everything that you need for a great tune. Simple chords again, as I think with most. One thing I've noticed is like your top 10 have got a few more of the rock and roll-y kind of songs.
Yeah.
Whereas mine, and I'm a soppy git anyway, but mine are all, apart from Acquiesce and Supersonic, are pretty much all more of the sort of softer side of Oasis, if you like. And Cast No Shadow is just one of those great songs. To be fair, Cast No Shadow, Sad Song, Talk Tonight could have all changed places. They could all be somewhere in the top 10. Okay, before we reveal our number 1s, let's just count down from 10 to 2, and then I'll do the same, Ollie.
Absolutely. So in at number 10 was Supersonic. Number 9 was It's Better People. Number 8, The Shock of the Lightning. Number 7, Acquiesce. Number 6, Cigarettes and Alcohol. Number 5 was Half the World Away. Number 4, Lila. Number 3 was Slide Away. Number 2, Don't Look Back in Anger.
Wonderful, thank you. Mine is number 10, Acquiesce. 9, Sad Song. 8, Supersonic. 7, Talk Tonight. 6, Wonderwall. 5, Stop Crying Your Heart Out, the Leona Lewis version. 4, Let's All Make Believe. 3, Slide Away. And 2, Cast No Shadow. So, Ollie, what is your number 1 Oasis song?
So I struggled to put the other 9 in order, but this was always going to be my number 1, and it's Rock and Roll Star.
Wow, okay. Wow, that I have questions. I have questions. Okay, Rock and Roll Star. Okay, so why is the first question?
Well, I live my life in the city. There ain't no easy way out. But it's again what I said. I was quite I moved schools a lot when I was younger. I was very shy, nowhere near as confident, or as I suppose arrogant to a certain degree. Nowhere near have the self belief and the kind of self esteem I've got now. So back then, that was the song that made me feel like $1 million, and it can make anyone feel like $1 million. That's what that song's about. That song is about being in a shit situation, being down in your luck. But tonight you're going to go out and you're going to be the best version of yourself. You're going to be $1 million. You're going to, and you could be anyone. You could be anywhere. You could be doing anything with any environment, any background, any situation. You could be in a bed sit with £3 to your name. You're going to go out and make the best fucking night of it. It's about identity. It's about being comfortable with who you are and not giving a rat's ass about anyone or anything else. And there's not many songs that can give you that self-belief. If you're having a shit morning, you don't want to go into that interview, you don't want to get out for work, you can listen to this and it will give you the power to move on. And that's why this is why Oasis are my favorite band. This is why we're talking about them now. And that song being the first track off their first album as well, it set the tone for everything that came after, and the foundation for everything that came after that. And it's the anthem for a generation. It's the anthem of the 90s kids, the last of that kind of era without the internet, and doing it rough. And and the lyrics in it as well just speak to anyone who's not had it easy. And I think that speaks volumes more today than it did back then. And we're in similar situations. It looks like, a kind of another new Labour government might be coming in, end of a Tory rule potentially, and it seems like we're in politically a similar situation, and the country's divided more than ever. And I think a lot of people could find that song useful. I certainly did, and have used it to my advantage.
Oh, it could be 1997 all over again.
Oh, it could be.
Those are the days.
And United win the league.
Oh God, maybe not. Let's not go that far.
Yeah.
I completely agree with everything you say. It's almost like a mantra to live by, isn't it? That's the thing. Shows you that it doesn't matter how bad and how shit things are. Everybody can be a rock and roll star. Just with a couple of little twists and turns. That's what it's all about. Okay, so in the end, we haven't really got the same top 3 at all, have we? No. Because, like I say, anybody that knows me knows that my favourite Oasis song of all time is The Master Plan.
Oh.
It is a masterpiece. It is like Oasis's Bohemian Rhapsody, as far as I'm concerned. And I've said so much about this on other episodes that I really haven't got anything else to say about it. The MTV unplugged version of this is fantastic. It is so good. But I've like I say, I've said enough over the. I haven't really got anything else to say about it. But
this was my number 11.
Was it?
Yeah, and the fact it was a B-side is criminal.
That's the thing.
I think Noel said that this Master Plan and Acquiesce were 2 songs he wished he had on an album.
Really?
But I do agree with you. This is the kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody-esque. It's so layered. It's so many different parts to the song, and it's beautiful. And again, it's one of these songs again that I'd listen on repeat on the bus to college. And you when you listen to a song that much, you find deeper meaning within it as well. And
absolutely.
And a band could be going for 100 years and not write a song as good as that. Completely agree. Let's go through some of these honourable mentions we've got. Carol Barwick, hello Carol, says She's Electric. Another great tune. Yeah. Another great tune. I'm not a massive fan of this song, but I was surprised that it wasn't in your top 10. Maria Pereira says Champagne Supernova. Will always make me stop and listen when it comes across my playlist, no matter what. That is a very
popular song for Oasis.
Yeah, it's had a bit
fans.
of it's had a bit of resurgence recently as well. I'm not sure if it was in a film or a TV series. I do like it. I just think it's a bit too long for me.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love it. I love it as a song. It just didn't make my top 10. It just wasn't going to be one of those ones. Anna Cochran, hello Anna. Cast No Shadow, Don't Look Back in Anger, She's Electric, and Don't Go Away. I love that song. Great tune. Simon Duffield, Rock and Roll Star, Importance of Being Idle, Half a World Away, Cigarettes and Alcohol, Married with Children, Master Plan, Round Our Way. We said great tune. Talk Tonight, Acquiesce, Champagne Supernova. He says, this was actually much easier than I thought. I hate Wonderwall, by the way, he says. I like the more lyrically inclined songs. If I'm intentionally listening to Oasis, however, Rock and Roll Star will always be my number one.
Good man.
Not that these are in order, as the vibe of that just is a gift to mankind. So,
it is. That's the thing with Round Our Way. Just to note, that was also a Christmas song for, I think Lidl used it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Lidl used it a couple of years ago. It might be in the same year as the Half a World Away one.
I'll have to see if I can find the...
It was two kids with an acoustic. And also, that's another thing for people who aren't sure on Oasis, you just think, oh, they all sound the same. Listen to Round Our Way. It's got the most intrusive brass section you've ever heard. And it just makes you want to party.
That's when they went in through their little brass phase, wasn't it? They had brass on stage and on the MTV Unplugged. It was all brass and harmonica and all that kind of stuff. At this one, Samantha said She's Electric. Peter McCormack Wixie, Champagne Supernova and Supersonic. And Kareem Pastor said, wow, this is a hard one. A few of my favourites are Don't Look Back in Anger, Champagne Supernova and Slide Away. There you go. Well, Ollie, we done it. We did it, we done it, and whoop-de-doo, another top 10 in the bag. So let everybody know how they can get in touch with you. I'll say I'll put the TikTok channel in the show notes so they can just click on that. But what else have you got going on?
Yeah, if you want to give us a follow on TikTok, Paolo Panini or Paolo.Panini. Instagram, Paolo Panini Official. We'll be launching the podcast again next month as well. So if there's any football fans out there who want to talk about their team in the noughties, and it could be Rotherham or Wigan or whoever, or you've got some football stories, do let us know. We'd love to have you on and chat more. Yeah, get in touch on Instagram and YouTube as well, Paolo Panini. We've got more things and interviews of footballers and stuff coming up in the near future. So watch this space, they say.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on your success. I am not jealous in any way, you motherfucker. But so that's your hat trick. We've got to start searching out and get some top 10 footballs that we can give away for the hat trick.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Performance, because we've started getting a few people now that we've got the caps and stuff, but we need to see if we can get some footballs and we can post them off to our hat trick guests. Now, Neil normally does the social media and all the the gubbins. Just look on the show notes and click where you want to for social media or for email or to come and join our Patreon. All the information is there, episodes, merch and all that kind of stuff. Just click on the show notes. Ollie, once again, mate, thank you so much.
Loved it, mate. Loved it.
Excellent. And come back again for number 4.
Oh, absolutely.
No, absolutely indeed. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching and listening. And
Aguero! Maybe not.